ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Tiki Talk Show. I'm Riley.
And I'm Ellie.
And we hope that you all just had a very Merry Christmas yesterday. We ourselves did. And we are excited to bring you our next guest, Mr. Charles Phoenix. Charles Phoenix is a fanatic for all things mid-century. He's an author, he is a slideshow presenter, and many, many more things.
Yeah, not only do we talk about Charles Phoenix's amazing slideshow presentations that he's been putting on for more than 30 years now, but we also talk about his love for all things mid-century, classic cars, interesting cooking recipes and videos, and just the hatred of all things beige, I guess.
We do get into that for a little while, but stick around. It's an interesting conversation. We talk everything from what not to do when buying a classic car and all the mistakes I made to do young people like Jello. So it is an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I would say it's not like the typical episodes we've been putting out lately. It's not very heavy on that tiki history, but it was so much fun. So we hope you enjoy this little bit of a post-Christmas reprieve as we get ready for the new year.
Yeah, so hang out those decorations, pack them away while we hang out Charles Phoenix. Over to him. Aloha, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Tiki Talk Show. I'm Riley.
And I'm Ellie.
And today we're sitting down with Mr. Charles Phoenix. How are you, sir?
Good, doing great. Nice and wintry, Christmassy, busy, which I love to be busy. No such thing like being busy.
Exactly. But we want to just take time again just to thank you for coming on. And would you mind introducing yourself to our listeners, anyone who is somehow not aware of your work?
Well, gosh, it's hard to explain what I do, but I'll try to explain. So I am a field tripper, photo collector, and a food crafter. The field tripping is me going in search of what's unique around the United States, special places and special spaces. Photo collecting is me collecting other people's old Kodachrome slides, which I've been doing forever. And my main stock and trade are my retro slideshows that I do all over the country, whoever will have me, whenever they'll have me. And then also the food crafting. I haven't really been doing tons of it lately, but I like to make up, crazy recipes that wind up to be edible party centerpieces. Like, for example, around Christmas, the Asperwini Christmas tree, the chirpumple, the pie stuffed cake. So anyway, it goes on and on. I just, want to be creative and, kind of want to celebrate. The other day I was driving down the street and I thought, you know what? I think it's kind of what I do is kind of called like mid-Americana. It's not all mid-century per se, but it's mid-Americana, mid-century Americana. That's what I do, mid-century era. So I celebrate it in any way I can. I love to collect vintage stuff. I've always loved vintage. That mid-century era has just knocked me out. But, when I started getting into it way a long time ago, like in really the late 70s, when I was like a young teenager, it wasn't even called mid-century yet at all. I mean, no one ever said that. Vintage wasn't a thing. It was just like used. So back then, like you went into a thrift store or whatever, and every single thing was like from the 50s and 60s or the 40s. And it was amazing. So, and everything was like, Hawaiian shirt that you pay like 85 now, quarter. It was unbelievable. So I've been around a while. I've been doing this a while and I'm very dedicated to it. And I love it. I mean, I'm doing what I was born to do. So that is celebrate classic and kitschy American life and style.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember like a specific point that kind of drew you to the mid-century? Or
not really. I mean, it really kind of, the first thing I think was, well, it's a combination of elements. I grew up on my dad's used car lot and I was like completely obsessed with classic cars. I mean, we weren't calling them, they were used cars then, but I was totally obsessed with all the models and all the makes and, the fact that the body styles changed every year and some of them had big tail fins and they all looked very space age. They all had very interesting instrument clusters, and I was totally obsessed and with that. So that kind of got me going. The cars were really number one. Watching I Love Lucy, which I loved as a child, used to be on every night at 7 o'clock when I was growing up, and I watched it almost every single evening. And I just loved Lucy and Ricky's style and all that. And then, kind of also another television show that I don't know if you haven't even heard of it. You probably have, maybe not. I mean, you've heard of I Love Lucy, right?
Oh, yeah.
Of course. But the Sonny and Cher show, Cher, well, she used to have a husband named Sonny. And the Sonny and Cher show was amazing. That was more like in the early 70s. I mean, I Love Lucy took place in the 50s, but anyway, because it was filmed in the 50s. So, and growing up, going to Disneyland, creative environments, environmental style guides were completely presented to me in full form, like Tomorrowland, Frontierland, Adventureland, Main Street USA, Fantasyland. So I completely got style guiding, from a very early age. And I was walking around like, if we went somewhere else, like a Chinese restaurant or whatever, it was kind of tiki. I'd go like, oh, this is like Adventureland. Or if we went to a Western themed steakhouse, like I'm like 7 years old and going like, oh yeah, this reminds me of Frontierland. So I mean, it kind of like hardwired me to be a very visual person. I have a photographic memory. And I am a very visual person. I'm visually oriented and I'm thrilled. So yeah.
No, I mean, that absolutely makes sense. And when you look at that mid-century time, really the post-war time period, I mean, talk about visuals on a lot of that stuff, just the amount of craftsmanship, the interesting and unique things that people were doing. And we talk about cars, everything from Nash Metropolitans all the way to Thunderbird. So, you get cool stuff all the way around. So
100%, no matter what you can pay. I mean, all the way from the bottom of the line to the top of the line, everything is like highly stylized, and everything is like hyper colorized and candy coated. I mean, the mood is up and the standard of living is flying high. I am not a gray person, and I don't know why anybody would paint anything gray. Gray is the color of ash, which to me reminds me of death. It's not even about, starting over again or anything like that. It's about gray. To me is doomsday. I'm sorry, I don't mean to get all negative on you, but everyone's painting everything gray. I mean, it's been going on for way too long. Where's the color? Why can't we have color? Why? I mean, why is
Ryley
it
says that all
become
the time.
what? Do you agree?
Ryley says that all the time. Yeah.
I've said that in the last week. I saw a video of a lady who bought a mid-century home out in Chicago, and it was a time capsule. It was a time capsule. She gutted it, and it just looks like any other new build. Why did you buy it?
That is not me. That is not my people. Those are not my friends. I mean, I don't, I mean, luckily I have created a community. I feel I'm part of a community. Let's put it that way. That wherever I go around the United States, I meet all these like-minded people that aren't doing that and fight against that. Well, not actually fight like boom, boom, but they just don't do it. I mean, my friends are collectors and curators and creators, really creative people that, enjoy the beauty of life, not just the, thinking that something gray makes them elevated or whatever. I mean, that's that I'm not in that strata at all. I mean, I get it. Not everybody's going to see things the way I do or the way we do or whatever. I totally get it. I'm a realist. I get it. But, we can choose our friends. And, it's like I thrive by surrounding myself with creative people who, I mean, and we learn from each other.
Oh, yeah.
From each other. We all have a lot of interests and we're all curious and we communicate and we teach each other. I'm like, I could teach you a few things. You could teach me a few things, let's go. So yeah. I know.
So you said that when you were a teenager, you grew up in Southern California.
I did.
And so as you're now in your teenage years, you're driving around and all these things, these remnants of the mid-century were still around.
Well, they're still around. They're still around.
Yeah,
I mean, they're everywhere.
Fortunately, unfortunately, places are being saved, and we'll get to that a little bit later on in the interview. But so at what point were you specifically looking for this stuff? You liked it. Was there eventually a point where you were going out trying to take pictures of these things, or were you just going, I'm going to stumble upon them as they come upon me?
Well, I mean, I always little by little, I started kind of noticing like the Googie style bowling alley that I grew up near and just different things. I mean, little by little, I started refining my eye to be able to look through the layers of time and really see, kind of really see all the eras. I love also the layers of time. So looking at all the styles of the eras. So I'm really good at looking at a structure and kind of telling you within just a couple of years, really, how old that building is. I mean, especially, I mean, even 20s, I mean, anything, 1900s, I can tell you within a couple of years how old the building is. So I just love to drive around anywhere and everywhere, especially old parts of town. And, I mean, and just kind of like look at everything and just kind of see what's interesting and what's unique. I mean, I could just spend the rest of my life driving around. I've always loved driving around. I still drive around. I love to explore. Everywhere I go, I look for what's unique in that community. What can I find there that I can't find anywhere else? I was just in St. Louis, and I mean, the St. Louis Arch, I mean, built in it was completed in 1965. I mean, that's a mid-century modern masterpiece. I also went to this place there called Crown Candies, which was an old candy and luncheonette, 113 years old. So I want the unique, I want the special, I want the mom and pop. I want to walk in the door and go, what decade are we in? I want something that is special. I want a story. I want something that has legs. I mean, you could say, oh, we're going to go to the coffee bar. It opened 6 months ago. And, I'd go happily and respectfully. But, at the end of the day, unless they've done really something extraordinary or something, I'm not going to be, like writing home about it, as they say.
Right.
With all due respect. I mean, I know it's not easy to open up a new business, but I'm always, everywhere I go, I Google oldest restaurant, oldest donut shop, oldest hamburger stand, oldest everything. And that's how I find out, neon signs, whatever. And then, ultimately, wherever I go, destiny delivers me somebody to show me around. Like, we know what you like. We've seen your Instagram. We know you love all this stuff, but there's a few things we bet you don't know about. And it's always like a bonanza extravaganza. I weep. I mean, it's unbelievable. That happens to me every single place I go without exception, thankfully, because it's kind of wonderful.
That's awesome.
No, that's amazing. And just being able to bring those people together who all love the same thing and want to share it, because I'm sure they were in your neck of the woods, you wouldn't mind showing them around.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a natural born tour guide. I love to, show off what's unusual about where I grew up. In fact, I just posted something on Instagram right now about the annual holidays. Can't even speak. Sorry. Holiday display that happens in my hometown every year, hometown of Ontario, California. It's the story of Christ's life. It's like these life-size dioramas that they put up every year since 1959, and they're heavily detailed. And I just posted, I said, the most detailed public holiday display in all of Southern California is this display. And anyway, it's pretty incredible. And I absolutely, love seeing it every year. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I want a unique experience. I'm not going to Starbucks. No. And I blame them for the grayification, ultimately, at least in interior decor. They took it there first. They did. All that reclaimed wood and everything. I mean, I love wood and all that, but yeah. And then painting everything gray. No, they did it first. So I blame them.
I think it's kind of hypocritical and interesting that they're trying to pull back on that now, and they're starting to reformat the stores to be unique and interesting for the locations that they're set in, when they were so into just like the sameness everywhere.
Well, frankly, I wouldn't know, because I'm not the customer of that. I am only going to go to the mom and pop. I want special. I want unique. I want one of a kind. I want something that I can, wait till my friends back home hear about this, or wait till I tell my friends that don't live here about this, or wait till I show my friends who come to visit like these special places. I mean, I'm not going to show you, when you guys come to visit, what you're going to be able to see in your own community. You know what I mean? Right. So that's my thing. I mean, I am a curator of, we can curate our lives. We can. I mean, we can choose what we put in our houses, and we can choose where we put our money. So I'm always investing in the mom and pop, the classic, the old school. I love all that, of course. Well, that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, even as someone who's pretty young and into all this stuff, I grew up in Seattle, and so
Seattle.
Starbucks, gray, just needs to be four walls, and you're gonna get your food, and it's gonna be all plain all around. Like I remember in high school, I started driving around. I'm like, it's gray all year around.
You mean gray weather?
Was it
gray weather?
Oh, yes, it's gray weathered all year round. Why do I
so
want
that
to
means
a
like
restaurant?
even more color.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, we should talk about something more upbeat than the grayification. I mean, it's just that it bothers me. I mean, not to the point of terrible despair, but I mean, I get it. The world goes in the way that it goes, and we can't control everything. But if I ruled the world, it would be candy coated and I mean, honestly, and color fortified. Boom! I mean, I'm serious. Really. So, I mean, and you're looking around and you see white walls. I just moved to this house and the walls were all painted like milk color. And weirdly, I'm like, gosh, I have lived with like bright colored walls for so many decades. Do I want to like have a white walls all of a sudden? No. But then I like started putting my art on the wall and I'm like, everything just popped off of it. So like I know that it's not going to last forever, but just for now, I'm like really focusing in on the art pieces that I have and how they just color pump off of the white. So, but I went into somebody's house, not to go on or anything. I've been actually two people's houses, actually three people's houses, that every single room in the whole house was painted the exact same color. And it's so bizarre because nobody does that. So I thought, that the outside of my house is one solid color. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to have one particular color in the entire house? And I was thinking, like, what would that be? And I think in the case of mine, it might be a pale, slightly dirtied, it has to be pulled back a little, like a butter yellow, but pulled back a little, not too bright. Or the other day, I was in someone's house. It was a 1950 mid-century modern that had never been touched. And the walls, the inside of the house, every single wall was creamy peanut butter color. It was stunning. It
Yeah.
was just stunning. Well, anyway, I don't know. I better let you lead the conversation because
No, that's totally fine. Well,
We're gonna get
we
started.
will sit down together and try to figure out, like, okay, like, here's the questions and everything. And I did warn Ellie that I said, I feel like I could just go on and talk about colors all day long, or I could just talk about cars or something. And we never actually get to your story. We'd just be talking about the
well,
things you
then
like.
ask questions. I'll try to be short and sweet about it.
No,
Ask
that is all right.
So let's talk about your slideshows. We've had the pleasure of seeing one in person and viewing a few online and everything. What got you started with wanting to make these slideshows and then present them live?
The big retro slideshows that I've been doing for like since 1998. So I started collecting other people's old slides. I was in a thrift store one day. I had been thrift shopping since I was 14 years old. And the way that I started thrift shopping in the first place, I mean, we were not a thrift shopping family. I mean, it wasn't really a thing. In 1977, I tried out for a show at the local community theater, and they said, you need a cowboy shirt to be in the show. And I said, well, I don't have a cowboy shirt. And they said, go across the street to Leroy's Boys Home Thrift Store. You will find one there. So I walked in the door and I looked around. I had never been in a thrift store before. And I thought, I'm going to like it here. I just knew it. And I looked at everything and I was just completely like taken aback. I found a cowboy shirt. It was pink with white stripes. I got a part in the show and I never stopped thrift shopping. So, I mean, before that, it was all shopping malls, shopping mall clothes and stuff. So after that, it was kind of a combination of both. But, I've always loved thrift shopping. I haven't thrift shopped for a long time now, but I mean, mostly not thrift shop, but the last thing that I ever found in a thrift store when I was 30 years old, so that was like in 93, was a big box of slides. And I knew that this was the ultimate treasure that I would ever find in a thrift store. And it started me collecting other people's old slides. So slides started, I mean, for the most part, they kind of came in the 50s, and the 60s is really the heyday of slides. So they're little transparencies, little photographs in a square mount. And then the reason why they're called slides is because they used to slide in and out of the projector like that. That's why they're called slides. But then later on, Kodak developed the carousel projector, which they all kind of sat in this carousel and you clicked them and you had a slideshow in your living room. So, but I just got obsessed because it was all the things that I loved. It was architecture and travel and fashion and cars and interior design and theme parks or wherever people went. It was pictures of everything and gorgeous, crystal clear color, Kodachrome color. So I was hooked immediately. So I really kind of dropped collecting everything else at that point. Just stuff, thrift shop stuff, and just completely focused on collecting slides. Well, pretty soon I had developed an archive. I started going to estate sales. And in those days, found photography was not a thing. Nobody had that term, what didn't exist. Even like mid-century modern didn't even exist. I mean, this is like 1993. So I started collecting other people's old slides and I was off to the races. I mean, as I said, the collection started to grow. All of a sudden, poof, out of nowhere, this woman shows up and said, I'll be your librarian. I'm like, what? She's still with me today, all these years later. So I have someone that keeps track of all the slides. We edit the slides together. I have a huge archive and all very well organized and lots of subjects. I'm not sure how many. I guess we could count. She'll be here tomorrow. But and I never say how many slides I have because it's always quality, not quantity. Every collection that I get, I always edit because you've got to. I mean, I don't keep out of focus pictures of dirt or whatever. I just only keep what I think could possibly be of interest in any way, any day to somebody in the future. So anyway, that's how I started doing slideshows. And so I finally was showing slides in my living room to my friends after a couple of years of collecting. And one of my friends said, you should do a show at this place called the Map and Travel Center in West Los Angeles. They do slideshows every Monday night. So I went over there and I showed them to the lady, and she's like, no one wants to see other people's old slides. And I'm like, oh, yes, they do. So I said, well, let me bring some back next week and I'll show you. So I brought a sleeve of them back, and she's like, oh, wow, these are amazing. So I did a show there. They said, okay. And that night, somebody from the LA Times showed up, and they wrote a big story in the LA Times, in the Sunday magazine, which was a pretty big deal. And I was off to the races. About 6 months later, a guy told me people would pay for this. And so I thought, okay, I'll charge. I need money. Who doesn't? And so I started charging, and I've been doing it ever since. And really, it's kind of my life's work. But on the side, I also collect and trade classic cars, which I've done, on and off forever since the 80s. And I love doing that. I never can be without a classic car, or as I call them, joy rides. And so I'm really into that. And where were we?
How you started the slideshow, but or the slideshows, but now if you ended up on cars, and
oh yeah, I did.
And you mentioned how you've been doing this since the 80s, and there's a video you posted a while back, and I believe the late 80s or early 90s. And I think you were getting interviewed, just like one of the street interviews as you're cruising along. Could you give us an estimate? How many classic cars have you owned?
What you're talking about is when I think I was 24 years old, I was interviewed by an English television or an English news organization on Melrose, which in LA, which at the time was like the hippest in street to go shopping on for. And at that time, like kind of that retro vibe had already kind of gotten going. It was just kind of in the beginning. Anyway, so I was there in one of my classic cars, the first classic car I ever had, a 59 Plymouth Belvedere convertible. And yeah, I was 24 years old, and they interviewed me. And my friend, like 5 years ago, found the clip. And so I posted it on my Instagram several times. But anyway, what was the question?
Do you know how many your classic cars you?
Oh, how many classic cars I've had? I have a semi list, and it's probably, I would say 250 to 300 different ones over the years. I mean, I love them. I have them. I have some. The reason I bought this house is because it has two-car garages, and this whole I was going to say semi-private. No, totally private, like long driveway area. And so it's like, oh, yes, this is what I need. But now I need more garage space, of course, because the more garage space you have, the more cars you buy. And so anyway, you always need more garage space.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I bought my first classic car 2 years ago. I recently sold it as a 59 Thunderbird.
What?
Thunderbird.
You're kidding. How is it?
It was a car.
What happened?
So it was parked from 1977 to 2022. The father bought it from Encinitas Ford dealership, and it still had the plate on it, and he gave it to his daughter in 1973, I think. And she drove it around for a couple of years. Took it down to Tijuana, Mexico to get a bad paint job at one point. And then in 1977, she parked it and never touched it again.
So you bought a car non-running since 1977?
I did.
Uh-oh.
Got it running. So
and then what?
I made it not running.
What happened?
It would be a shorter, it was a bad rod eventually.
Well, can I just cut in and tell you? I wish I need to give people classic car advice. Never, ever buy a car that's not running.
Lesson learned.
Lesson learned. Yeah. Oh, we all have learned the lesson. Trust me.
And don't buy a classic car that's not running and then haul it all the way across the country.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's all in the learning. It's all in the learning process. We've all been there. We've all done that. But it's so in the classic car world, the way it stacks up kind of value wise is to buy a super nice car or even a very nice car is only that much more than buying a not nice car or a not so nice car. It's not that much more. And it's hard to restore cars. It's expensive to restore cars and it's time consuming and all of that stuff. So, I mean, you want to buy quality. Just like when you go to a thrift store, you're not going to buy a shirt that's torn or stained. It's like that. You wait until like the super clean one, like the shirt that looks like, grandpa never wore this. Oh my God, like whatever, a Hawaiian shirt or whatever. You can tell it doesn't have ring around the collar. It's not stained. It's not like been in the washing machine too many times. I mean, you want a low mileage car. And again, they're just not that much more money at all. They're not. Yeah. I mean, often the same in a thrift store. It's like you come across one, you're like, wow, you can tell it's in like really good condition. A shirt or whatever, or a piece of furniture. Same thing. Like nobody sat on this, or they didn't set much on it. Or, like a record, like you go to the record store and you pull the record out and it's like all scratched and kind of whatever. Or then you pull another one out. It looks like, oh, grandma must have never played this one. That's what you're looking for. Quality, 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 quality. That's the thing. It's like you got to go for the good stuff. You got to have a curatorial eye. You've got to be, in order to be a good, well, I was going to say, this is another thing about collecting, though. In order to be a good collector, you have to be a great editor. So, but you also have to know what you're doing. But we've all done that. 100%. I can't even tell you. I mean, you just sometimes get overwhelmed with the joy of it all and you like go crazy, and it's fine because we learn. And we learn from each other, as I said. So yeah, but if you need any advice on a classic car, please do not hesitate to ask.
I appreciate it.
No, I'm serious. I'm not joking.
No, I will take you up on. I mean, to your point, I bought that car and I started looking around, and to get one that was like the engine was restored, the transmission was restored, it was only about $2,000 more. And so I should have gone for the one that had maybe a little bit of paint issue or here or there or whatever, but like the hard part's done. The hardest part is done, because then from there, maybe you want to go a little bit higher. Like,
the reality is when you're buying a classic car, I mean, let's face it, like it's kind of like buying a small house. There are a lot of component parts that you have to train your eye to look at absolutely every detail of the car or the house to assess the quality and the condition of it and the usability of it, the workability of it, rather than the redo of it. I mean, so, I have slowly but surely, after all these many years, trained my eye when I'm going to look at a car to look at absolutely every single detail on the car. I mean, it's time consuming, but I want to see the condition of everything. Really. And, but sometimes then you get all bamboozled because it's like, some great grandma, little old lady or something. And you're like, oh my God, I just have to have this car. I love this story. I mean, and the story is part of it. That's the other thing, is buying these vintage things. I mean, to me, acquiring something, whether it's a thrift shop painting or a new sofa or chair or whatever it is, a car, any collectible, it's like, what's the process? What's the transaction? Where is it coming from? I mean, you could go around my house and 99% of the things in here, I have a story to go along with. Like, oh, I remember that. I was in such and such a place when I bought it, or I bought it at this estate sale and they did this for a living and they had this wild house or whatever. I mean, there's always something. There's always a story. I love things with stories because we love stories. And, the things that we have are kind of like, just portions and parts of stories. So lots of stories. I also love not to buy in antique malls, but to kind of find it at the actual source, like to be the picker. I have to confess, in St. Louis, I bought 2 paintings at 2 different antique malls, and I don't usually do that, but I just couldn't pass them up. They were too wonderful. But anyway, yeah, I usually buy at like estate sales, or people give me stuff as well, or whatever. I mean, I like it. I like that. Oh, and when you buy a car, you want it to be a very pleasant experience. Like if the person's a jerk or whatever, then I don't want their car, So that's the other thing. It's like the process of acquisition is also a very important one to me. I like it to be, a very convivial, wonderful, memorable transaction. So I don't like just buying from grumpy people or jerks or anything. No, no.
Yeah.
Like if I call in a car and they're like, you know, blah, 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 or whatever, I'm like, okay, bye. Thank
Fair
you.
enough. So
Yeah.
we're talking about stories and how important that is. And so tying back and going back to the Kodachrome slides, how
Yeah.
often do you get the story? Is that often
With
or
the
is that something?
slides, oftentimes you have to like just piece the story together by what you see. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. I'm not sure it's always 1,000 words, but you kind of piece it together. Sometimes you get a whole, span of a family's life or a husband and wife's life or whatever, or who knows whose life. And you can kind of get the vibe of, where they went and, where they lived and what kind of cars they had and all that. And it's just so interesting. I mean, sometimes in slide collections, like, grandma and grandpa are there, and then all of a sudden, 8 boxes later, grandpa is dead in a coffin.
Right.
I've seen it. So, it's a trip. I mean, there's several kind of different variations of a photographer's mind. I mean, there's also this weird thing I see often where it's a husband and wife and they don't have any kids, and he is obsessed with the wife and takes tons and tons and tons of pictures of her. That's a repeating thing. I mean, that's kind of a little bit of a sidebar of collecting. That's a genre that you find. People that don't take pictures of people, only of like nature. Well, unless there's a car in it or something, I can't keep those because nature hasn't changed that much. But I'm looking for the unique stuff. I'm looking for the, what they would call the money shots. And if I find one in a collection, I'm thrilled. But I am very liberal about what I keep. And like just vintage Las Vegas and vintage Disneyland and Florida and New York. And I mean, I have a million categories. Every state has a category and so many other categories. And from them, I pull and I create these slideshows. I'm about to create 2 new slideshows right now for Modernism Week in Palm Springs. Have you guys ever been to Modernism Week?
No, unfortunately not. We'd love to go though.
You'd love it. You would. I'm going to do a trip around the United States, which will be loosely based on the first show that I ever did. And then I'm going to do a show that I've never done, which is the Grand Tour of Europe in the 50s and 60s. So that'll be fun. And to prepare for it, I think I'm actually going to go to, I think I forgot to comb my hair. I'm just noticing. Oh, well, who cares? Anyway, go to Europe to prepare for it. So we'll see. But anyway, yeah. So what was the question?
I mean, yeah.
I was just asking more about the slides and how often you get the stories. And so one other point I want to ask, sorry, I don't mean to steal your thunder on that, but is there a kind of a ratio or percentage where you do find the money shot, the stuff of the really amazing mid-century? Is it a handful of photos? Is it common nowadays?
Well,
Not so much?
I mean, I mean, there's so many great images, but what I call publishable. I mean, what is so interesting it's publishable, as I call it, or slideshowable? Very rare, very rare. I mean, very few slides ever see the light of a projector, but I still save a ton of them anyway, just because they're interesting shots. I mean, I have an endless supply of just about every possible topic that you could possibly think of that ever would have been photographed in those days. But weirdly, there's a lot of subjects that I wish got photographed back in the day that didn't. So, we've only gotten camera snap happy since smartphones. I mean, really, before that, people were very selective about what they took pictures of. So, back in the day, and every picture cost you something. So, they didn't just take anything. It was mostly special occasions or vacations or whatever, or, Thanksgiving dinner. Like, I wish people took pictures in department stores, but, I can assure you, growing up in the shopping mall era, nobody took pictures in shopping malls. In fact, they wouldn't let you. They didn't want you to. Back then, I mean, up until just a few years ago, you'd get thrown out of a lot of places for starting to take pictures. Like, I was thrown out of a supermarket about 10 years ago, Ralph's, our big chain here in Southern California. No photography allowed. Well, now, I don't think they care. They can't control it. So my point was what? I'm not sure. But I wish people would have taken pictures of a lot of things back in the day that they did not. One
Mhm.
subject is department stores, but nobody took a camera in a department store and started taking pictures. So rare, lots of rare subjects. But I love, vintage Disneyland and, tourist attractions and Las Vegas and, World
Mhm.
Fairs and, just someone posing with their new car. I mean, just about there's there's so many great, amazing shots. And, I'm always looking at every detail in the shot. So really fun. It's fun. I mean, I really it's my entertainment. Just the other day, someone was getting mad at me once again because, well, maybe not mad, frustrated because no, I'm sorry, I've never seen that movie. 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 I'm sorry. I have been to the movies many times in my life, but there's so many that I haven't seen because I am more interested in real life than I am in, not real life. And movies are not real life. I love movies, but I spend a lot of time. I don't watch television either. So I haven't seen any series at all since 1978.
Really?
I
Wow.
think that's when I threw the television. I no, when I stopped watching TV when I was 14 years old. And then actually I had a TV up until 1987 when I moved out. I had a TV and I threw it out the window and down the hill. I picked it up though, don't worry. In 1987. And I really have not, I don't watch, I don't have Netflix, I don't have any of that. I'm not talking trash about it. Just that
Mhm.
I'm doing other things. I'm not really that into being entertained in the traditional sense of watching movies or watching television shows. I mean, I love all that and it's great and I respect it a lot. And the medium, I mean, really incredible medium, filmmaking
Mhm.
and storytelling and all that. Great. But typically I like to watch documentaries and I like to just, learn myself and go in search of creating or finding stories myself and images to show. And my slideshows take a lot of time to prepare and to curate and to, put it all together. So I'm
Yeah.
busy. I don't have time. I don't like I don't need to be entertained that way. I'd
Yeah.
Yeah.
rather be the storyteller than the storytellee. Is that the right word? The right way to say it?
Sure.
I think it's now.
Okay.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm trying to say though?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking of your slideshows, do you have a favorite one you've ever put together?
Favorite slideshow? Well,
Yeah.
the one that's the most unusual actually wasn't mostly from my own slides.
Okay.
It was Supermarket Superstars. And it's the one that I talk about the supermarket superstars, all the superstar products, the classic ones in the grocery stores, like, Jello and Oscar Mayer wieners and, all and Poppin' Fresh biscuits and jet puffed marshmallows and all
Mhm.
the legend Wonder Bread, all that stuff. I talk about it. Jiffy Pop, Jiffy Mix. I mean, and I kind of weave it together and kind of everything kind of connects. So that was one of my all-time favorites just because it was so different. But I love them all. I couldn't do it if I didn't love them all. So actually many of my slideshows are available to watch on YouTube. You just have to go on my website and click on. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, that's a thing. But I used to do during the pandemic, I did those were all online slideshows. So I have stopped doing those, and now I'm back in person as of a few years already. But
Mhm.
so yeah,
Yeah. So a lot of your slideshows heavily feature architecture, and you're known pretty well, especially in Palm Springs, for the preservation of architecture. What got you into kind of helping save those mid-century pieces?
well, I am not the person on the front lines of preservation. My way of doing preservation is I'm not a fighter, I'm not an arguer.
Mhm.
So I don't go up in the courtrooms against the developers and all that stuff. That's not the way I roll. My way of preservation is just to show and tell and hopefully get people interested and tell them why things are so special. I mean, basically what I'm doing, what I think I'm doing, what I hope I'm doing, what I try to do is
Mhm.
present greatness. I mean, whether I'm presenting, Wonder Bread or some incredible mid-century building or some mid-century car or a whole scene or whatever, I mean, I'm always trying to present, something extraordinary, and be able to tell you why it's extraordinary. I mean, that's the thing. You can't just show pretty pictures. You have to give people a reason to appreciate it. And so, people always say that I say, I know. Well, the reason I say I know is because it's kind of short for I know you know. Because I'm kind of talking to people as though they already know. Some do, some don't, but I'm kind of just complimenting them of course you know this. I mean, and oh yeah, I do know that. Even if they don't, they're like, So, that's my way of preservation. I don't fight in courtrooms or anything like that or throw myself in front of a bulldozer. That's not the way I do it. I don't know how to do it that way. I'm just not hardwired that way.
Yeah, it sounds like it's still just a lot of that storytelling and wanting to share that like appreciation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to point out why I'm showing you what I'm showing you. Why am I showing it to you? Well, here are the reasons that I appreciate it, and perhaps you will too. So that's the thing. It's just my passion is my fashion, and my fashion is my passion. Wait, what did I just say? I don't even know. What are we talking about? I know.
I don't
So,
know
but you know what I mean, though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry.
During your introduction, you shared a little bit about your love of those crazy food sculptures and all that kind of stuff. And you've done the Charles Phoenix Test Kitchen. Can you tell us a little bit about why you started that and your whole foray into those interesting recipes?
Well, the test kitchen got started only as a result of seeing something in a slide. And what it was what I later called the Astro Weenie Christmas tree, a styrofoam cone covered with I won't say toilet paper, aluminum foil. That's funny though, toilet paper. That's another Christmas tree altogether. The toilet paper Christmas tree, which is a classic in my retro holiday slideshow. Yeah, the toilet paper Christmas tree. One has a light in it too, and we have no idea how toilet paper conducts light really beautifully, by the way, because whoever holds toilet paper up to the light? Nobody. I don't think. But anyway, no, I started as a result of seeing this thing in this aluminum covered styrofoam cone with multicolored toothpicks, each one wearing a little savory bite. And it was on the table in like a early 1960s slide. And I'm like, I'm going to remake that. So that was already like 17 years ago, I think. And I remade it, and it kind of caught on and, has become a thing over the years of people making those because they really went out of style. And then, just kind of different variations of the Astro Weenie. There's the Astro Weenie, like firework explosion for 4th of July. I did fried cereal, which is all these puff cereals that you kind of toss in melted salted butter. You can't use the flake cereals. You can only use the puff cereals. And it's so good. It's like kind of like Chex Mix with cereals. And it's gorgeous because they're all colorful, like Trix and Apple Jacks and Fruit Loops and Sugar Pops and Cocoa Puffs and Kicks and Trix and Honeycombs. You get the drift. Weirdly, when you toss it in melted salted butter, it does not take the crunch away. It just like it gets infused with butter. And let me tell you something. It's like, are you allowed to swear on here?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Fucking delicious.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. It's just so good. You can't even your mind is boggled. So anyway, there's that. And I just love, crafting around the kitchen. I mean, I never use recipes. I made the meatloaf of rat for Halloween, and that's a little like I love him. He loves me. Everyone loves him. He loves everybody, but it's a little like meatloaf, basically, without like onions and stuff in it. But it's like ground meat and turned into a rat shape, and you put like radish eyes with olives with pimento pupils and chicken feet as legs and a kielbasa tail that you kind of sculpt into a tail, like a big kielbasa sausage. It's hysterical. But what people don't know is that inside his little body, his little meat body, his ground beef body, is a whole squeeze bottle full of ketchup. So that's in my Halloween Land slideshow. And, I don't think that one's online. The holiday shows are not online. The two that I did a Halloween show that's not online, and the holiday shows that I always do every year. They're not online, but only the other stuff. But there's plenty to see. You can also visit my website, charlesphoenix.com, which has cars for sale and, all kinds of the shows to watch online and the live show dates that I have coming up. So all that's on there.
Yeah. I do have to ask, you are a fan of Jell-O.
I mean, I just because it's fun and colorful and jiggly. Yeah.
Okay. Because I've watched your creations with it. And personally, I think they're cool. Some of them, especially some of the mid-century ones, when people were putting things that should not be in Jell-O, they were putting
like lights. I made a Jell-O Christmas tree and put Christmas lights in it. And I plugged it in and I lived to tell. I mean, so yeah, I love that.
See, like I think it's a cool and unique thing to look at, but I don't know. Some people
You don't want to eat it.
I don't eat
Well,
it. No.
is that what you're saying?
Basically, I was curious if you enjoy eating
Well,
Jello.
here's
Yeah,
the
but
deal, you guys, you don't understand. I don't think. Jello was radically popular. Everybody just stormed the Jello whenever it was served. Up until like maybe 20 years ago, all of a sudden, its popularity plummeted. And I know the kids in my family that are like in their 20s now or whatever, they're like, yeah, no, yeah, we don't like Jello. I mean, I'm like, I mean, I know already, but it's like, do you realize, seriously, not joking around, what you're saying now and what so many people say now? Yeah, I just don't care for it. Like back like 20 years ago and earlier, first of all, there was no time, no table that didn't have like your Aunt Myrtle or the lady next door or whatever would not bring, or your mom or whatever, your grandma would have a jello with her in a mold. It wasn't always served molded. I mean, that was the rare. Usually it was in like a big glass casserole dish or whatever, generally, because molding was more work and whatever. I mean, Jello molds kind of went out like probably 35 or 40 years ago, pretty much, but Jello didn't. But I mean, literally, are you aware of the fact that people would like move, just like get everything else out of the way, right to the Jello? And no, I'm serious. You just, did you know that?
I did. I've seen recipes for savory Jello. I have a lot of old recipe
I'm
books
not
and all this type
saying
of stuff.
that all of those Jello recipes endured, but the ones that did, like with like frozen strawberries in it or pineapple, or we no one thought a thing of having like that it was gross or anything, like cottage cheese and Jello. That was like smoking delicious. You're like, oh my God, so good. And then you like go back for like 5 more helpings. And then pretty soon it's gone. I mean, vanished without a trace. And your crazy cousin would be like licking the dish. I mean, people lived for Jello, and now it's kind of coming back. So, I mean, do you both feel the same way about it?
I feel like the only time I feel like people eat Jello now is Jello shots.
Well, Jello shots was the last hurrah. That was the last hurrah. And then Jello shots kind of fell out of fashion or whatever. I mean, they still do exist.
Yeah.
But Jello shots was kind of the last hurrah. The other thing that was kind of before that, maybe in the 80s, was Knox blocks, they were called. Like your mom would like make Jello, but she put extra gelatin in it and cut it into little squares, and you just like pop them like they became finger food. But Jello in a casserole dish or whatever with some sort of a fruit in it or stuff in it. I mean, yeah, we weren't into like the vegetable stuff anymore. That did go away. But the sweet ones, like canned pears or whatever, you guys, I'm telling you, it's delicious. Even though it's like you can't tell people what it's made of.
Yeah.
Gross. Maybe that's why people don't like it anymore, because we all got smart. Don't feed it to a vegetarian, because it's not vegetarian.
No, it is not. Maybe so. It sounds like next time I buy a classic car, I'm going to give you a call, and we're making Jello soon, so we're going to give you a call to get advice, and maybe we're missing something. So we're going to give you a call about Jello now.
Okay.
Jello.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's going to happen.
Really, when I made it the other day, so frankly speaking, I made it for Thanksgiving for my family, and most of them didn't eat it because we're somehow decided collectively as a society we don't like it. But I ate it, and as I was eating, I'm going like, wow, this is really sweet. It's like, I don't know why my taste for sugar has like kind of intensified, as far as like kind of like realizing how much sugar is in certain things, like really sweet stuff, which is a lot of stuff. And it was so sweet. It was good though. It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have a few published books and stuff that seem pretty in line with your slideshows. Why did you start publishing the books, and were they kind of created from the slideshows or?
Well, no, not necessarily. The first book I ever did was all about the architecture and culture and art in the area in Southern California where I grew up. It was called Cruising the Pomona Valley, 1930 through 1970. And it was an
Mhm.
architectural guide and a cultural guide, kind of mid-century ish. Also, it covered the LA County Fair, which is the largest county fair in the United States, and all the architecture and stuff there. I just did it because, I just thought it needed to be done. I mean, I kind of really don't operate. I operate on a whim. It's like, I want to do this, so I'm just going to do it. And I don't
Mhm.
really budget it or like, try to figure it out. It's like, there are just certain things that I want to do. So I just do them. I don't think about it too much.
Mhm.
Overthinking ruins everything. I'm a very spontaneous person, and I'm just like, I'm going to do it. So I did. And then the other books are kind of the same way. It's like, I got all this material. I might as well, put it all into a book. And, do you make money on books? No, you don't. But who cares? I mean, when
Yeah.
I die, it'll be what I leave behind. When I was 4 years old, I was in the backyard of the neighbor's house and I had this thought. I thought, when I leave this earth, I want to make sure to leave something behind. And then, like, I also thought, I want to be, I thought to myself, in the world as a child, I thought there's two kinds of people. There's the speakers, and then there's the leaders and the listeners, is what I thought it was, the leaders and the listeners. And so I thought, I want to be a leader. I want to, and so I kind of was quiet about it and shy about it until about my 40th birthday, which is just about 2 years after I started doing slideshows. And I just thought, you know what, damn it, I have lived long enough on this planet. I want to now, share my opinion on things. So that's when it really kicked in about me sharing all the stuff that I share, like in my
Mhm.
slideshows or on social media. I mean, again, I'm sharing with you my passion and my fashion, because I feel like, I want to make the world a better place. And I think the more appreciation that we have for our culture and what's great about it and significant about it, the better.
Mhm.
So, that's kind of why I do it. I mean, I'm just, plus I don't have anything else to do. I don't have
Yeah.
anything else to do except what I do. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's all I
Well,
have to do.
I mean, I'll say that your books have definitely inspired me. I remember seeing your book, Southern California in the 50s.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I butcher? No,
No,
did I
you
butcher
didn't
that?
botch
Okay,
it.
Yeah.
perfect. All right,
That's what
wonderful.
it's called.
I remember seeing that in a bookstore, and I kicked myself. I didn't buy it, but granted, I was like 16 and I didn't have any. I was broke basically, so I was just like looked at it. I was like these are amazing pictures. This is awesome. And then I remembered seeing. I knew what mid-century was at that time. But I really started putting together like, oh, I can go find these places. Anybody can go see what's remaining out there. And so I started driving from the little suburban burger stands that were there from the 40s or the 50s, the diners, and things like that, just to go see them and appreciate what's still out there. So your books at least have been influencing me to just go search these things out and see what's out there.
Well, you
Mhm.
can probably get one used on Amazon now. I'm sure of it, as a matter of fact, if you don't have it already. But yeah, exactly. That's me. I'm an urban explorer, a suburban explorer, a country explorer. I love nothing enriches me more than traveling. I mean, that's the thing. More than acquisitions, traveling is the hunt, is the thrill. I mean, when you find it, yeah, it's delicious, but it's that anticipation of what's next. What am I going to find? What am I going to discover? So it's always keeping curious, keeping interested, and keeping communicative is the key. And then we share it with each other. And
Mhm.
that's the ultimate thrill of all, is being able to share and being able to, as I said earlier, learn from each other. So like if I went to Maryland, I mean, I've never been to Maryland, I've never been to Baltimore. So, is there stuff there? I already know the answer. Yes, because there's stuff everywhere. You just have to know
Mhm.
what you're looking for and know it when you find it. That's
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
thing. I mean, there's stuff everywhere. So if I went to Baltimore, you guys would say, oh, you got to see what?
I would say probably the Hippodrome Theater.
I would say the now leaving Maryland sign.
Oh, really? Is it neon? You mean you want me to leave?
I want to leave.
Oh, you do?
I do. No, I'm joking. Oh man, what in Baltimore comes off the top of my head?
What
I
do
don't
you
know.
work? What do you do in Maryland? Are you in show business?
No, unfortunately not. I would like to be, but no, I'm in the military, so
Oh, you
that's
are.
why I am, yeah. So no, we've looked around quite a bit, and there is a lot. I make jokes. It's a running joke that I say that I don't like Maryland because moving from San Diego to Maryland, where I was just in San Diego a couple of days or for the last couple of days, having a great time, and then coming back, getting off the plane and being hit with cold air, it's not a fun experience.
You know
So
what? Make it a fun experience. Wear your, I mean, just show off your vintage winter clothes. Make it, sometimes we just have to like make it great
yeah,
ourselves. Live in your make it great world yourself, whatever you feel like. I mean, live it up. Don't mind what they're doing over there or how they're dressing for winter. Don't you have some incredible mid-century era winter clothes?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Wear them
hundred.
like crazy, like you mean it, like and be proud. And don't give it a second thought of what other people might think. Most people aren't paying attention anyway.
Yeah.
That's true.
Now, all jokes aside about Maryland, there is a lot of old theaters out here that I love going, that are
Yeah.
very cool, very beautiful,
I mean, there
huge
must be
neon
some old
signs.
custard stand or something, and maybe an old amusement park
The
or an
snowball
old
stand.
hamburger place or
Oh
some old
yeah,
steakhouse. Are you guys vegetarians?
no,
Oh, you're not? Oh, surprise. I only because every other person I meet, it's like, oh, I'm vegetarian.
Oh,
huh?
really?
No, not us.
Hmm.
Yeah.
We'll go to the old steakhouses for them. We'll let them know how it is if they don't want to go.
Yeah.
So,
Wait, what? Who doesn't want to go?
obviously, if any
Vegetarians.
vegetarians, if they don't
Oh,
want to go,
vegetarian.
if
Yeah,
they
no,
don't want to go to the old steakhouses, we'll go for them. We'll have a
Yeah.
great time and we'll tell them about it. So,
right, exactly.
Like Maryland and especially Baltimore's thing is these things called snowball stands, and they're kind of everywhere, and they look like sheds or like tiny houses that they put in like parking lots,
What do they serve?
homes. They serve snow cones that they cover in marshmallow fluff.
I've never ever heard of that ever. See,
Yeah,
that's the other thing. Everywhere I go, always looking for the local foods. And
yeah.
every single place you go, virtually, has some sort of a local food. So that's your local food. There must be something else. I
Old
mean,
Bay, of course.
yeah. So what else is there?
so the last thing I want to ask about is how has really the concept of mid-century changed over the last 30 years? Things that have been restored, brought back, things have went away, unfortunately, or went under the bulldozer. But what I'm curious, is there still more to discover? Are you still finding new
Oh,
places out there?
yes. There's so much out there. I mean, it's endless. It's
Hmm.
endless. The discovery is endless. And I'll be the whole rest of my life, I will be continuing to discover it. How has it changed? First of all, the term mid-century, as far as I'm concerned, wasn't born until about the mid 90s. And I mean, we could go into down the rabbit hole where I think it came from, but it's not that important right now. But like the term Art Deco
Hmm.
did not that term never existed until a book was written in 1965 about that style of architecture or design. So mid-century is kind of the same thing. Nobody in the 1950s or 60s said mid-century. I mean,
Hmm.
if anything, it would have been called like contemporary or something
Yeah.
like that, or modern, but never mid-century. That mid and century did not go together at all. But how has it evolved? I mean, when I first started thrift shopping and I used to see like this mid-century furniture, what still some like your grandma and your Aunt Myrtle still had that furniture in their house. I thought, this stuff is amazing and it's going to become really collectible. I just knew it. And they're also going to be copying it. Manufacturers will be copying it. The style will come back. It took a while, but it did come back. The thought mid-century stuff, because we're such a mass consumerism culture. I mean, and mid-century stuff, a lot of it was mass produced. Therefore, we were taught to hate it like the next year or a couple years later because the new version had come out. And if you weren't getting the new stuff, then you were kind of looked at as being poor or low class or whatever, out of style. Let's put it that way. That's the nice way to put it. So we kind of we were brainwashed by the manufacturers to think that if you didn't have the newest, the latest, you were out of style. So a lot of people just kind of thought everything old is tacky.
Hmm.
Everything old, it would be
Mhm.
tacky. So but we don't necessarily think that way anymore. So, I mean, we appreciate it because of the quality, because of the interesting design and all that stuff. So, the perception has completely changed. But I will tell you, I know what shifted, before when I started thrift shopping in the late 70s and all through the 80s, it still was not accepted overall in general as something that, oh, yeah, vintage or, oh, yeah, thrift shopping or whatever, whether you did it or not or appreciate it or not.
Mhm.
But what crossed it over to people who were like too snooty to kind of like, oh, okay, was that shabby chic movement.
Mhm.
Do you know? I mean, do you know what that even is? It's
Yeah.
like people, like mostly women, I think, were taking like older furniture and painting it white and maybe like, I don't know, spray painting lace around it or something. Or it was kind of a little country, a little bit style,
Yeah.
but it was warm and friendly. But they were using vintage pieces and repurposing them, which has happened throughout, history. But that's kind of when that vintage kind of shifted from being like totally tacky to like, oh yeah, it's cool to a lot of people. So that was in the 90s. The 90s was kind
Okay.
of the crossover era,
Okay.
Yeah.
I think.
Well, yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We've had an absolutely fantastic time. You mentioned that you had some more live shows coming up the rest of the month. So where can people go to get tickets and see what else you have coming up next?
CharlesPhoenix.com for everything. I've got my big retro Holiday Land slideshow coming up in Santa Ana, California, which is in Orange County. That's Sunday the 14th in the afternoon. Lexington, Kentucky. That's happening on December 21st, and then Palm Springs, December 23rd. So, yeah, I was just in St. Louis last weekend, and somebody drove all the way from upstate New York to see the show. I'm like, I can't believe it. So, it was great. We had a good time. So it's a lot of fun, the Retro Holiday Slideshow. I hope that you can join me live in person. And I'll see you guys, I guess, at Tiki Oasis.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Well, awesome. Thank you again so much. We really appreciate your time and we appreciate you sharing your story with us.
My pleasure. See you guys later.
All right.
Bye.
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 Thank you again to Charles Phoenix for joining us on this episode. We had an absolute riot just sitting and talking with you, listening to your stories, and just sharing in your passion.
Like Ellie said in the beginning, this isn't our usual chronological approach to our interviews, but regardless, I mean, this was so much fun. Charles Phoenix is a man of a million passions, and so just being able to talk to you for a little while was a great time. We really appreciate it. We know you're a busy guy, especially around the holiday season, so thank you for giving us a little bit of time and talking with us.
Absolutely. For you listeners, you can find Charles on Instagram at _Charles Phoenix, or head to his website, charlesphoenix.com, where you can find all of the links to those slideshow presentations that are online. They're absolutely fantastic. And you can also find the upcoming dates for his live shows in person and purchase tickets, because if you have the amazing fortune to see Charles Phoenix live and in person, you should definitely take that opportunity.
We saw Charles Phoenix back at Tiki Oasis this last summer, and it was an hour and a half of nonstop laughs. There's a million photographs. He is telling stories. He's trying to guess what the photo was taken or why someone took this photo. But regardless, it is amazing. Charles Phoenix's stage presence is hilarious and is informative and is great. And we really appreciated not only seeing him in person, but again, talking with him on this interview.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for joining us, the day after Christmas. We hope you all enjoyed your holidays. We definitely did. And we have so much to look forward to in 2026. 2025 has been an amazing year. We've gotten to do so much with the show and Tiki and everything, and we've had an absolutely fantastic time, and we couldn't thank you enough. We're looking forward to so many amazing things in 2026, and March will be 1 year of doing this awesome show, and we're so much looking forward to, what's coming next.
Yeah, like Ellie said, I mean, we have a ton planned. We are working on a ton of different projects. And as we get closer to that 1 year mark, make sure you keep an eye out on our social media for some of our announcements that we're going to be planning. You can find us on Instagram at The Tiki Talk Show, all one word, or at Kona Cove _Home Tiki Bar. You can reach out to us via our website, thetikitalkshow.com, or on Facebook at The Tiki Talk Show. And again, as always, if you're doing anything interesting, if you ever want to just reach out, leave a nice word, whatever it may be, you can do that just by shooting us an email directly at thetikitalkshow@gmail.com. We're always happy to hear from you all, and thank you all for reaching out. And speaking of reaching out, anyone who has seen our social media recently, you would have seen that our dog Chance passed away over this holiday season. So we just want to thank you all, the listeners, for saying a couple nice words and thinking about us. He was a good friend of us for a couple of years. We got him as a rescue, and so thank you all for thinking of us and just saying something nice. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, we look forward to talking with you all again in the new year. Enjoy the rest of your holiday season, and we will see you again in January.
Yeah. It's been a pleasure talking with you all, and we hope to talk to you again soon. But until then,
Bye.